Hi, Jeff Hicks here. Welcome to Indispensable Appraisers podcast. Today we're talking about the MAI designation. Is it worthwhile to get? You get a lot of noise out there. You hear that it's not worth the long runway, the education, the cost, especially if you're talking to somebody just getting into the industry. It's definitely a mixed bag of should you do it, should you not. So I think I'd like to reframe the discussion about getting into the industry, staying in it, and investing in yourself within the framework of three concepts. The first is a vivid vision. There's a great book, Vivid Vision 2.0 with Jennifer Hoyd, and it talks about can you set out a vision that you can visualize success. You can also do a vision plan for yourself as a person, your personal goals, your health, relationships. But what's a compelling future for this discussion? We're going to be talking about your career. So, being an appraiser, what is your vision? What does that even look like? If you talk to somebody that's been in the industry for a long time, it's pretty similar sounding where it's, well, if you find somebody that will train you, be your supervisor, then after a few years, you might start to get it. In 3 years, you might be pretty good. In 5 years, you might be better to good. It's just a long road to hoe. And then when you throw on top of it, to get your designation, you obviously take time off from producing. The courses are long, they're expensive. And do you see the value? It's comparable to a bookkeeper versus a CPA. There's plenty of awesome bookkeepers, but the CPA, the designation, gives them a little bit more street cred. But I think the question of should it be an MAI or not really goes back to, do you want to be in the industry and do you see the long-term potential? Are you in it to win it? So with the vivid vision, can you articulate what if you're going to explain to somebody why you should get in the industry? I think a lot of veterans don't do that. I think they're often talking more about the negative parts of appraising and not the upside potential, right? So the vivid vision would be, how do you articulate what that would look for somebody or for yourself? Let's say you've been appraising for a long time. You thought about getting your designation. Is it worth it? A lot of people take the education, they stall out, and they don't get to the finish line. To me, that's a branding issue. Does the market really value you more because you are designated? But getting back to the vision, it really is, how does it fit within where you want to go, right? That's the first. Second concept is acceleration, right? We talk about the younger generation. How are you going to accelerate your career with a designation? Or is that maybe not fit within our model, which is it's a long road to hoe, right? And it's just not going to resonate with the younger population. So unless this process is accelerated, that success, that you can identify it through the vivid vision, I don't think we're going to have much success in bringing in younger appraisers, much less getting to the designation. So if we set the vision, now we have an acceleration of their education, their experience, which is going to involve some new techniques, some new playbooks, new processes that we do not currently have. The third framework is expansion, right? So if we look at our industry, it's always this one-dimensional, you're going to become an appraiser, you're going to crank out appraisals. And yes, we do more than market value opinions. We do tax appeals, we do market studies, we do litigation. There's all sorts of eminent domain, all sorts of other things we do. But at the end of the day, most often we do market value opinions in these big books and big narrative appraisals. And is that really compelling vision? And can I accelerate that process? Or is my end goal just to create these big phone books, if you know what a phone book is? Remember those? So the expansion needs to be more aligned with accountants. They really are focused on client expectations, and they don't just do tax returns and audits. They provide a lot more services. My CPA, he evaluates software security to make sure that your infrastructure is secure. It's nothing to do with debits and credits. They also do a deep dive on your financials live as they look at your books. They see where you're spending money. They may recommend some best practices of leasing equipment or perhaps renting space or buying a building. They really give you some advice throughout the year. So at the end, you're just not doing, here's my information and just do my tax return. So really some better due diligence. So I think getting back to, is the MAI worth it? I don't think we can even answer that question until we get to nail what is your vivid vision for yourself, what is for if you're talking to someone who's considering getting their designation, what can they do with it? What can they accelerate and where can they expand? Obviously with the knowledge, and I say this all the time, commercial appraisers are the smartest people in the room when it comes to commercial real estate, but nobody knows that anymore. They forgot, right? So again, that's the point of this podcast, to reintroduce ourselves that this body of knowledge is so niche that it's incredibly valuable for due diligence. Yet I think we struggle with our own value proposition, right? And we could also provide additional services beyond just appraising. You can go into development, obviously do your own deals, brokerage, some consulting. There's a finance analysis. There's a lot of things you can do with this designation. So you're going to say, hey, Jeff, is the MAI designation worth it? I see it as more of becoming a beginner again. Like a lot of us in our space see the MAI as that's it, like we're done. We went to the Super Bowl and we don't have to train anymore. I say we review it as the beginning. Act like a beginner. And I know I always talk about martial art references, but I was pretty amazed that as I went through, this is like in my 40s, when I went through all my training through martial arts, that you go through the various belts and you get to the black belt and you think you're at the pinnacle, that you know everything, you don't really have to learn anything new, and you just do a rinse and repeat. That is not true. Because when you become a Udansha or a black belt, you start off at a first degree black belt. And then you train more and more, and you start training. You don't no longer pay your sensei. You get to train for free. But what's asked of you is to train other people that are below you, and you don't get paid for that, but that's your give back, right? So if you do get designated as the beginning, to where you then get second degree, third degree, it goes the other way, right? And you start all over. So it's a kind of an aha moment of getting your designation it's really the starting point, right? Especially through the lens of a vivid vision, acceleration, and expansion, right? That is a lifelong runway for yourself, your firm, or if you're talking to somebody considering getting into the field, that's what you would recommend. So, did I really answer the question, should you get your MAI? Yes and no. It's a mixed bag for a lot of people, but I think if you set the framework of the vision, of the acceleration and expansion opportunities, I say it would be a solid yes. You should get your designation. If you don't agree if it's not part of your vision, I don't think you should get an appraiser. I think you should double down on something that makes sense to you, something that really gets you fired up in the morning, get you out of bed and get you excited. I hope it's appraising. I find the valuation space incredibly insightful. It's been an amazing career for myself. Obviously, with Realwired, my investment in that is, 8-figure investment. I'm all in when it comes to this space, and I hope you are too. Thanks. Have a great day.